Hey, my name is KJ, and this is Been There, Read That. And today we're going to talk about the books that I didn't love the first time I read, but I think I was the problem. I didn't encounter these books at the right time in my life. I didn't give the book the attention it deserved. And if I were to reread these books, which I plan to do for all of them, I think I might just give these books 5 stars. Okay, this is going to be a ranking today for the 8 books I have to talk through. Number 8 is going to be the book that I'm least sure that I'm going to love on reread. And we're going to work our way up to number 1, which I am 100% positive that I will give that book 5 stars when I encounter it again for the second time. Coming in at number 8, we have Carrie by Stephen King. This is a book that has been adapted many a times, is very popular. I encountered this for the first time in the fall of 2020. I was adjusting to college. It was the pandemic, and ultimately I couldn't give this book my full attention. I liked the mixed media aspect of this book, but ultimately I felt like the story was just lacking a bit. I wasn't a huge fan of the more sci-fi elements of this story. I would like to give this book another chance someday around Halloween, and now that I have a better expectation of how short the story is and what to expect, I think I could really enjoy this one. Number 7, we have Dune by Frank Herbert. I read this in the fall of 2023, for the most part via audio. I thought the beginning of the book was rather slow, but the setup for this world and the story that would unfold was intriguing enough. Ultimately, I was listening to this book too fast on audio, and I think I just missed out on some of the developments later in the story, and that led to me ultimately giving this book a 3 stars out of 5. The plan here is to watch Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2, and Dune Part 3, I guess, and eventually return to this book and hopefully give it the 5 stars it deserves. At number 6, we have The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is the only Tolkien that I have read. I have not seen any of the Hobbit movies. I've not seen any of the Lord of the Rings movies. And I encountered this book again via audio, listening at maybe 2.5 speed. Ultimately, I would love to give this book a second chance, really enjoy the whole story, get a better understanding of this world before I take on the Lord of the Rings, and eventually check out the movies, which I'm super excited about. At number 5, we have the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb, and more specifically, Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest, which are the second and third books in this trilogy. I read these for the first time in the spring of 2021 via audio on 2 times speed while I was riding the bike. So it's safe to say that my focus was not entirely on these books. I don't recall much of anything that happens in these. It seems like this one might be the fan favorite in this first trilogy here. I recently reread Assassin's Apprentice, which I gave 4 stars. I liked it more than the first time I read it, and I think that rereading Royal Assassin, I'm going to absolutely love this book and the politics, so I'm expecting I'll give this 5 stars, and I would consider that a win even if Assassin's Quest doesn't turn out to be my favorite book of all time. Cracking into the top 4, we have The Blade Itself and the larger First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. I encountered this book for the first time in the fall of 2021. I did a mix of physical reading and listening to the audiobook. Audiobook is great. I would highly recommend. Ultimately, this book had a little less plot than I was hoping for, which is why I gave it 3.5 stars. Now that I've come to enjoy the characters in this series, especially Glokta, I think I'll enjoy this book a lot more. When I reread The Blade Itself, I plan to give this book 5 stars. Let's see if it can happen. At number 3, we have The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. This is book 1 to the Wheel of Time. My history with this story: I started reading this book for the first time in the fall of 2021. I read about 66% of the book and decided to put it down. About 4 months later, I picked it up again from the start and read the whole thing. Gave it 4 stars, 4.25 stars. I have progressed on to books 2, 3, and 4, and would say that I felt diminishing returns throughout the series. But again, I was reading those books via audio, not always giving the story all the attention it deserved, 2 times speed, ultimately not the best reading experience. I plan to start this series again from the beginning, read predominantly physically, and I'm hoping that doing so will help me to have a better appreciation for each of these characters, for the larger world, and ultimately give this series 5 stars, which I feel super inclined to do considering I own all 14 books in hardcover. At number 2, we have Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I first read this book in February of 2022, and can you guess? Via audio on 2 times speed. This series is often compared to The Hunger Games, which I am a huge fan of. I read Red Rising, gave this about 3.5 stars. Also read Golden Sun, which I gave about 3 stars. The book that everybody says is one of the best books in the whole series. Ultimately, I'm not the biggest fan of space and space stories, so that could be what's holding me back. But I'm hoping I can try this book again, reading it 100% physically, and give this book 5 stars. And topping today's list at number 1, we have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I read this book in the summer of 2023, and believe it or not, didn't read any of this via audio. I really enjoyed the beginning of the story. I loved the New England setting. I liked both of our characters. I thought the time that the story was taking place in the late 1900s was super interesting. Ultimately, the story behind why I didn't love this book happens to be I was lending it from a friend, and our relationship kind of soured over the course of me reading this book, which led to me giving this story only 3 stars. I think I will really enjoy this book on reread and give it 5 stars. That is why it is at the top of this list of books I encountered at the wrong time, and I look forward to giving this another chance and giving it the rating it deserves. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll be back soon with another video. And that is why it is topping this list of books that I'm not the problem. Yes, I am.